Let's start with an uncomfortable truth. One that's actually empowering once you really accept it. Sometimes users don't do anything wrong and you still get breached. That's what makes zero-click attacks so dangerous. They don't wait for a gullible user or bad decision. They trigger the moment vulnerable code processes something an attacker controls. It could be a message, a call, or even a file attachment that nobody ever opens. If that sounds abstract, think back to the old Android days with stage fright. Researchers discovered that a single malicious MMS message could compromise a device the instant it arrived. No taps, no clicks, no chance to stop it. Hundreds of millions of phones were at risk, and that was nearly a decade ago. The idea of no interaction required is not new. What's new is how it interacts with AI. Today, we've added artificial intelligence to almost every workflow we have. Summarizers read our emails, copilots help us write proposals, assistants browse SharePoint for context, and chatbots can even act on our behalf. We gave this system access to data, identity, and automation. And we often forget how they process content without asking for permission every single time. That's exactly how the first AI-era zero-click attack was born. This summer, researchers uncovered something called EchoLeak, officially tracked as CVE 2025-32711. It was a flaw in Microsoft 365 Copilot, where a specially crafted email could cause a summarizer that exfiltrates sensitive context, without any user interaction at all. The person didn't even have to open the message. Microsoft patched the specific bug quickly, but the biggest story is the attack class it revealed. It wasn't a vulnerability in how Copilot connects to the internet, it was a failure of boundaries. The AI was tricked into obeying instructions that were never meant for it, seated right inside a normal-looking message. If the summarizer read it, it acted on it. That's the new reality. The target isn't just the user, it's the agent that represents them. And it didn't stop there. Shortly after EchoLeak, Datadog Security Labs documented a different kind of abuse they called CoPhish. This is a clever twist on OAuth consent phishing using Microsoft Copilot Studio as a delivery system. Imagine an attacker creating a custom Copilot agent, hosting it on a real Microsoft domain, and using that to bounce a victim into an OAuth consent flow. Everything looks legitimate, the logging page, the scopes, even the Microsoft logo. But once the user approves their permissions, they've handed over tokens that give the attackers access to mails, files, and chat. Technically, nothing illegal happened. The user granted access, the app existed, and the platform worked as designed. That's what makes it so dangerous. It blurs the line between code exploit and social engineering. So what do these stories tell us? Together, they paint a picture on how the modern attack surface has changed. There's no longer just defending people. We're defending the digital extensions of people, the assistants, the agents, and the automations that never sleep. And while companies are racing to deploy AI across departments, very few have stopped to ask how they govern it. IBM's Cost of Data Breach 2025 study actually quantified this gap. It showed that growing share of breaches now involve AI models and their integrations. The most affected organizations lacked even basic governance, monitoring, or access controls over these tools. For managed service providers, that's not just a warning, it's an opportunity. Your clients are adopting AI faster than they're securing it. If you can help them stay productive and safe at the same time, you've become indispensable. But that starts with understanding where the new risks live. At the heart of Microsoft 365, the biggest weakness is consent. If any user can grant any app access to their mailbox or OneDrive, then every OAuth phishing attempt becomes one deceptive login screen away from success. The fix isn't complicated, but it has to be intentional. Turn on the admin consent workflow. Restrict user consent so that access requests get reviewed, logged, and approved deliberately, not accidentally. Do a quick hygiene sweep through your tenant's enterprise applications. You will be surprised how many unused service principals are still sitting there with full access to data they no longer need. Cleaning up closes one of the most abused pathways in modern Microsoft 365 attacks. The next weak spot in non-human identities, the bots and automations that MSPs build to keep operations running. Each of these is a powerful account. It may not have a human name, but it often has more privileges than any real person. That means you have to treat it like a crown jewel. Give every automation the least privilege possible, rotate its credentials regularly, and limit what resources it can touch. The way if an agent gets manipulated by a malicious prompt or misconfiguration, it can't wander beyond its lane. That's how you design failure that stays contained. Then there's a problem of inputs and outputs. The data that AI agents consume and produce. On the input side, be skeptical. Messages, documents, and chat content are now execution vectors. If you can, run lightweight checks on the way in. Even simple pattern filters for known prompt injection syntax are dangerous keywords. On the output side, make sure sensitive data can't accidentally leave the organization through AI response. That can mean redacting secrets, filtering national identifiers, or enforcing DLP policies in the same channels your copilots use. You don't need to buy an AI firewall to start doing this. You just need to be intentional about what your systems read and what they are allowed to say back. And let's not forget the basics. The same controls that protected us before still matter now. Data loss prevention rules, safe links and safe attachment in Exchange Online, Defender telemetry for OAuth anomalies. These are boring, but they are exactly the controls that stop spectacular breaches. If you summarize reads inboxes, protect these inboxes. If your Copilot agents can initiate logins, make sure only verified apps can receive consent. Sometimes the old guardrails are the perfect build for the new road. Of course, incidents will still happen. That's why you need a crisp playbook. When you suspect an OAuth grant has gone bad, don't panic. Revoke tokens, force a re-authentication, rotate secrets, and notify compliance promptly. The difference between an internal blip and a formal breach report often comes down to how quickly you can cut off access and prove you did. The good news is, once you codify this for one tenant, it scales. By the third client, your team can do it practically in their sleep. If you want a quick sanity check you can run this afternoon, do this. Confirm that user consent is restricted and the admin consent workflow is active. Review recently granted apps and revoke anything that doesn't belong. Audit your Copilot Studio agent and disable the ones that aren't in use. And make sure safe links, safe attachment, and baseline DLP policies cover every mailbox that Copilot can read. That's not a massive project. That's a coffee break exercise with massive payoff. As we close, remember why zero-click attacks succeed so effectively in AI environments. They don't need to trick a human anymore. They whisper directly into the machine. Your defense isn't awareness training, it's architecture. You have to make the machine deaf to the wrong voices and short arm when it tries to reach beyond what it's meant to do. EchoLeak has been patched, CoPhish can be prevented, and your Microsoft 365 tenants can absolutely be hardened. Start with consent, with identity, and with content flows, and the next creative attackers will hit the wall instead of your data. Because at the end of the day, that's what modern defense is really about. It's not about trusting people less, it's about trusting automation wisely. If you build those controls in now, the AI future stays exciting, not exhausting. And if you found this video helpful, make sure you follow our channel, leave a like and drop a comment with your thoughts or experiences below. It helps more MSPs find this content and it tells us what you'd like us to dive into next. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.